Hello, everyone. My name is Jess Belomo, and I am Director of Entrepreneur Recruitment here at Arch Grants. Welcome to today's informational session on our annual startup competition. Please note that this session is being recorded, and we will make it available via YouTube after we conclude today. We will leave some time at the end of the session for Q&A, so if you have a question, please type it into the chat box, and we will be sure to answer all the questions that we have time for. If you have a question that doesn't get addressed, you can always email us at competition@archgrants.org as well. So with that, let me turn it over to our Interim Executive Director, Gabe Angieri.
Thanks, Jess. Pleasure to be here with you all. Good afternoon. As Jess said, my name is Gabe Angieri, Interim Executive Director of Arch Grants. And today we're here to talk about our startup competition. Arch Grants was founded in 2012 with the idea that early stage companies, more than anything else, need non-dilutive capital to grow and scale. And St. Louis has long been a place where big businesses have thrived. We went from the fourth largest metro about 100 years ago to a little bit lower in the rankings now, but Arch Grants was really set out to reinvigorate the local economy through dynamic entrepreneurs, two of whom we have here with us today, Suzanne Tucker, founder and CEO of Generation Mindful, and Edwin Williams, founder and CEO of ZenHammer. We awarded Generation Mindful, Suzanne's company, in 2018, and Edwin is one of our more recent companies, just coming through the program this current year, funded in 2021. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about each of your companies, Suzanne and Edwin. Again, thank you for being here with us today. You are really the secret sauce of what makes Arch Grants work, and I think it would be really helpful for our audience today to hear from you directly on your experiences in our program. So I'll kick it to you, Suzanne, if you could talk a little bit about your company, and then we'll get into some more discussion.
Thanks so much. It's a true joy to be here. I'm going to give you my 30-second elevator pitch, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about me. And that's something I got out of Arch Grants, being able to say it quick. So Generation Mindful, we are mainstreaming early emotional education. We are a global direct-to-consumer product and lifestyle brand. And I think our secret sauce, or what makes us unique, is that we take the science into everyday life very playfully, practically, tangibly, for not only teaching and educating children, but adults as well, in homes and classrooms. So we were a 2018 Arch Grant recipient, and we founded in 2016. So this was pretty early on in our development as a both product and lifestyle company. And it was really formative for us as a company. I'd love to tell you a little bit more about why I went into business, and later hopefully share about how Arch Grants has impacted us. I started my company out of a need, as probably many of you have as well. I was a parent educator and a therapist for nearly 30 years. And what I saw happening in this information age that we live in, I saw disempowerment. I saw parents like me, I'm a mom of 4, feeling increasingly overwhelmed and not enough, because we live in an information age where you can literally Google anything and it'll tell you, right, how to be the best parent, how to raise your smart kid, how to, do basically anything and everything, which as a parent is very disempowering. So my big idea came 5 years ago in a class where a mom was feeling particularly overwhelmed. And she had a moment where instead of lashing out with her child, she connected. And it was my aha moment. What made that possible? And what it was tangible, playful, practical solutions that she had gotten out of class. And that was the spark for Generation Mindful to start making empowerment-based tools, toys, and solutions that do the emotional education I was wanting to impart through classes, but that do it in a really fun, easy, playful way. And that was really the spark of founding the product and lifestyle company, Generation Mindful. And we've grown now into 90 countries over 5 years. We always launch on Kickstarter. So we've had 3 to 5 main product launches, though we have over more than 20 SKUs. we believe in the grassroots. So I think that's been the power of our international growth, has been leveraging community, mission-driven parents and educators that understand our mission to raise an emotionally healthy world. So I'm thrilled to be here. I hope you see you in me sitting here. And thank you so much, Gabe, and all of Arch Grants for the opportunity to share about Generation Mindful with you.
Thanks, Suzanne. Really appreciate that. And as a user of your products, I can say how meaningful it is to have conversations with my kids using your Peacemaker deck that you launched a few years ago, and really excited to see you growing the company in St. Louis. Edwin, would you mind sharing a little bit about your company?
Yes. Hello again. I'm Edwin Williams, founder and CEO of ZenHammer, the pocket office for subcontractors. My quick pitch is ZenHammer is a pocket office for subcontractors, the trades particularly, guys who work by themselves or one or two other people. And what ZenHammer allows them to do is to manage their critical business needs all from the palm of their hand, with scheduling, budget, invoicing, and record keeping, which then allows them to be more productive and make more money on the job site and with working with other people. We got our start. We actually came out of another idea. It was a marketplace for homeowners and contractors to meet. Great idea on paper, in the marketplace did not work. And as we were winding that down, the contractors we were working with came to us and they said, hey, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. What you were building on the contractor side, we really like that. And if you could make that better, that is something we would want. So we sat down and talked to them and talked to our advisors. The contractors bought us all their tools and basically gave us their wish list of what they wanted in an app. And on that, to come up with our name, I asked them, was like, okay, we're going to build this app for you. You're going to help us name it. So we did this, in short, naming competition, and ZenHammer was the name that they came up with. And so we picked that name to run with. And so that's how ZenHammer came to be. And then we went to Atlanta and then came back to Johnson City. And in Johnson City, we're part of the Johnson City Area Home Builders Association. And that community helped us a lot with developing the app, helping us hone down on our target market, and really giving us the support and connections needed to get to the point where we were able to then apply for Arch Grants. And I used to live in St. Louis, and coming back was really good. And I guess we will get more into that later, but that is my story in brief.
Thanks, Edwin. Really appreciate that background and context. And yeah, I think to kick it off, would love to just pose a question to both of you. Suzanne, maybe you could respond first. Why did you initially apply to Arch Grants?
Thank you. Yes. So I launched in 2016. By 2017, I was watching a friend of mine's company, the Normal brand, go through prep to receive the Arch Grant. I believe that was 2016 or 17 that they were winners. And that made it really real for me. This was a company that was new, is hometown proud St. Louis company. And I saw myself in the Normal brand, and I thought, if they can do it, I can do it. And I saw how impactful the Arch Grant awardee to the Normal brand was for this business. So that was really my inspiration for joining and attempting to be awarded in 2018.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah, Normal brand has grown quite considerably since I think we funded them in 2016, and yeah, my family has definitely become a big fan and wearers of their clothing.
Yeah, they're a great brand. And what I want to say to people out there is I think it helped because I was seeing a real person that I knew go through a real experience to put it out there and go for something. And you don't know Edwin or myself, but I assure you, we had a big idea and we're looking around for next steps, just like you are. And I hope that you see yourself in me, particularly that you think, well, they did it, she did it, I can do this. Because that really helped me set aside the business time and the assets I needed to really go for the grant.
That's great. Thanks, Suzanne. Edwin, what led you to apply to Arch Grants?
So it's actually kind of random. So I had known about Arch Grants, but I didn't think I was ready to apply. And one of my advisors out of Atlanta sent me a message saying, "Hey, you used to live in St. Louis, and I think you're ready for the Arch Grants program." And so I looked at it, and where we were, I was like, okay, Arch Grants looks like a really good program. I went through the portfolio companies that you guys had funded, and seeing the successes that they had done. And I didn't have any contacts. Unlike Suzanne, I didn't know anybody who had been through the program. All I knew was St. Louis by reputation, Arch Grants by reputation. And so I did my application. I had actually been up to St. Louis to talk to some people up there earlier that year. It was kind of like, oh, well, this is kind of fortuitous as well. And looking at the program and what I wanted to do with ZenHammer, it felt like a great fit. So I filled out my application, and I guess you could say the rest is history, and it's been great ever since.
That's awesome to hear. And we're glad to have you in St. Louis, Edwin. As we fund about 50% of our companies from the local St. Louis community and 50% from outside of St. Louis, from places like Johnson City and Tampa Bay and New York, California. It's great to see entrepreneurs like you investing in St. Louis. This is what we're all about. We're all about growing this community through innovation and entrepreneurship. So I think you already answered my next question, which is what attracted you to St. Louis, Edwin. And I guess I'd position the next question to you, Suzanne, on how did you utilize your Arch grant after being awarded in 2018?
Thank you. We applied it to staff, to people, so that I could grow the business, not do the business. And I know you guys out there listening relate. I think if early on you can get funding like this, equity-free funding, that's almost what it takes for us, the founders and the CEOs, to pry that little thing out of our hands and hand it over to someone else. And what we did, we applied it to social media and content creation. And I cannot tell you the headspace, the mental space, and the capacity for growth that freed up in me. So we applied it to people. And I know that Arch Grants, they're really committed to us as entrepreneurs, growing our big idea beyond ourselves and hiring. There's a real commitment to St. Louis, and there's a real commitment to hiring. So that's exactly what we did with our money, and it really helped us grow.
Thanks, Suzanne. And Edwin, I know you are in the current portfolio, so you're actively leveraging the grant funding from Arch Grants and our support services. But what did you initially intend to do with your Arch grant, with your $50,000 award? And then what have you found through that process? Have you pivoted? Have you decided to employ that in areas other than you initially thought?
So actually, we're still pretty much on doing what we said we were going to do. So I applied for the Arch Grants. We laid out that we were going to use the money primarily for product development and then marketing. So the money's been going to product development. We sort of went back into a stealth mode to get everything done, but we've been moving. That amount has allowed us to move really fast compared to where we were moving before. And we are ready, we're in MVP beta. We've been getting great feedback, and it's gotten us to the point now where I'm confident to go out and start marketing, and now knowing I can deliver on what the product to the contractors here in the next 6 to 8 weeks, hopefully. And so the funds that we received have been used pretty much for what we said, and it's just helped us move so much faster. It's I don't have to wake up anymore oh, am I going to hit this deadline? It's well, I still do, but it's we can hit a better deadline. And so I would tell anybody, it's having that influx of cash, again, as Suzanne said, equity free, has just been amazing and allowed us to do things that before we were unable to do, because it just freed up so much.
Thanks, Edwin. And I referenced the $50,000 Arch grant. Last year, we piloted for the first time relocation grants, which for you, Edwin, I hope was impactful in relocating to St. Louis. Could you talk a little bit about that as Arch Grants is always looking for ways to improve our support for our companies, ways to enhance their ability to grow in St. Louis? Was that grant helpful?
Yeah, it was actually very helpful. That's actually when we saw that. It was one of the things I was like, okay, I feel good about coming to St. Louis because it allowed me to move and then still have the 50,000 to deploy for product development and marketing. And so, yeah, that the $10,000 relocation grant was very helpful in terms of our moving me from Johnson City to St. Louis and getting settled in. And so, yeah, it was very helpful.
That's what we like to hear. And, building off of stories like yours, we've decided to increase that, as I referenced earlier, to $25,000 this year and going forward. So hopefully that will continue to help entrepreneurs like you, hit the ground running in St. Louis, where in prior years we saw companies moving to St. Louis. I mean, they're using the grant funding awards to help with those relocation costs and kind of almost at a disadvantage relative to their in St. Louis peers because they do have to set up a new office and find housing and daycare for kids, et cetera. So that was done in a real effort to enhance your ability to get started in St. Louis with as few hiccups as possible. Susanna, next question for you. How has Arch Grants helped Generation Mindful outside of that $50,000 award you received a few years back, if at all?
Yes, I would say relationship building. It's a door opener. We were supported in our outreach to a group called Centene here locally, a large provider of health services and Medicaid manager for the state, for the country. And we very early on in our introduction with Centene, right up front mentioned we were an Arch Grant recipient 2018. And I believe that won us the first meeting, and it was pivotal to our receiving then their letter of support. I also went for a line of credit with a local bank here, Commerce Bank, Go Commerce Bank, very local, hometown proud bank. And I used that Arch Grant right up front, and we secured a nice SBA line of credit right off as a young company. So even if you're a global company, everything is relational and local. So always think local and relational when you set out to grow any company. That would be my advice. And having this feather in your cap, saying that you are an Arch Grant recipient will open doors.
We certainly hope so. We, having been around 10 years and many of our board members and team members having deep relationships in this community, it's great to hear that those connections pay off and that you were able to connect with folks at Centene and elsewhere, Suzanne. Edwin, maybe the last question for you. What advice would you have for folks on the call today and others that are considering applying? How would you, what advice would you give to them as they apply this year?
Know your stuff. I remember when we did our application, it was a lot of information. And one of the things that as Arch Grants, from my perspective, you guys are looking for quality entrepreneurs who are applying. So it's like when you're applying, know your marketing channels, know who your target demographic is, know everything that you need to know to run your business. And it's a great process. And even if you don't get the Arch Grants, going through this process prepares you for other applications. If you're going for investment, if you're applying for other accelerators, it prepares you for all of that very well. So know your stuff, have fun. It's a great process, and it's a great. The whole thing's a great experience. I'm trying to think if there's anything like secret sauce that I could say. Make sure your pitch deck is really good. Yeah, that'll be it. Make sure your pitch deck's really good. And my last secret sauce thing is make sure you let Arch Grants know in your pitch deck how you will help St. Louis grow economically. And so, yeah.
Thank you, Edwin. And I'm glad the experience was great for you. Having won the award, I'm sure it's a little bit sweeter, but we try to make this as beneficial to all of our applicants as possible, connecting with resources, even if you don't move through the first or second stages of the competition, because we really do want St. Louis to be as attractive as possible for all early stage businesses. And it's great that you chose St. Louis as this part of your journey for ZenHammer. So thanks, Edwin. Suzanne, final question for you is kind of a two-parter. Why is St. Louis the best place for you to grow and scale Generation Mindful? And do you have any advice specific to other women entrepreneurs getting started in this application process, or more generally?
Sure. So St. Louis, for me, is a big little town. It has the benefits of being a small town where people may know you, you can leverage connection, and it's a big town. There are a number of universities, so much talent, so much innovation happening here. You can actually park, you can enjoy your life downtown. You're going to love the city for all that a big city brings, but you're going to enjoy all the conveniences of a small town. And as a female business owner and entrepreneur, I would say to other women out there, and actually really any minority owned business, stand in your power, because what makes you unique and different and special is your superpower. And I really felt that way when I brought Generation Mindful to this community of Arch Grants. I was celebrated for being a female-owned business. You won't always get a welcome mat for what makes you different, but you will here. So my advice to you when you pitch Arch Grants, stand in your power. Don't pull someone up there to co-present with you. If you don't need it, you stand in your power and you present. I've had the honor of being a judge on the other side, and there've been a few times where I'm like, boy, I would have loved to have seen that female owner do that pitch by herself, not pull up that other person that she did. And I wondered, why did she bring that other person up? So whoever you are, male, female, whatever, you look like, whatever your background, stand in your power, tell your story, your business. And when you share that, you will be celebrated and you really will be heard. And I agree with Edwin, share the impact you can have on this city and talk about growth, because that's what they're interested in, growth and impact on St. Louis.
The advice you give, stand in your power, I love that. And something that we try to emulate in our own work in Arch Grants, and really appreciate that. So we're going to move into a portion of sharing a little bit more about Arch Grants and answering questions from the audience. I know your time is valuable, so thank you so much for joining us today. You got to go out and run your businesses, so we're going to let you sign off. Edwin, Suzanne, always great to see you. Hope to see you in person very soon. And please, is there any contact information, or would you be open to answering LinkedIn requests from any applicants out there? There you go. Okay, great.
Absolutely. Link it up. info@genmindful.com.
Edwin@getzenhammer.com.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, congrats and good luck.
Can I say one last thing? If you do get the Arch Grant, everybody in your cohort is amazing, and you'll make some of the best friends you'll ever make in your life in your cohort.
Awesome. Great. Thanks again, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right. Now that we've had a chance to hear from a couple of Arch Grants founders, might be a good time to get into the weeds a bit on Arch Grants and our startup competition. So bear with me as I load my screen. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see that now. And as a brief background on Arch Grants, we're a 501c3 nonprofit in St. Louis with a mission to create a new economy in St. Louis through innovation and entrepreneurship. So we do that by funding early stage companies with non-dilutive capital. We were founded in 2012 And since then, have funded over 200 companies with about $10.5 million in non-dilutive grants through the startup competition. Our portfolio companies have gone on to generate over $500 million in revenue, attract over $600 million in follow-on capital, and create about 2,500 plus jobs in the St. Louis metro. 69% of the companies we funded have been led or co-led by a woman, a person of color, an immigrant, and or a veteran. That's an important facet of our program, as we want Arch Grants founders to represent the rich diversity in our community. Here's a brief look at the 2021 cohort. I think it can, if nothing else, demonstrate the wide variety of companies that Arch Grants funds. We funded 34 companies last year. We're targeting between 20 and 25 companies in 2022. But yeah, take a look at any of these companies. Hopefully you recognize some of them and you can learn more about their businesses as you are interested. So the competition itself, we award, as I said, 20 to 25 companies each year. This year, we increased the grant amount from $50,000 to $75,000 across the board. And for any company moving to St. Louis from outside of Missouri or outside of 150-mile radius in the St. Louis metro on the Illinois side, we're offering another $25,000 relocation grant to ease that transition, in addition to wraparound support services for all companies in exchange for just a one-year commitment to headquarter in this city. In 2021, Arch Grants piloted our Growth Grants program. This is a major expansion of what Arch Grants does in support of our founders and is open to any past funded Arch Grants company that is raising growth capital. And Arch Grants will provide up to $100,000 in additional non-dilutive capital through a competitive process. So who should apply? We're looking for for-profit companies in the early stage. So for us, that means validated idea through pre-Series A. As you may have noticed in the previous slide, we fund companies in all industries. So as long as you have an innovative, tech-enabled solution or product, we would like to talk to you. If your business is scalable, interested in growing in St. Louis, and this year and in other years, we have special focuses with targeted funding partnerships. This year, we're looking specifically for geospatial startups and startups in the agri-food tech space, in addition to veteran-led and always diverse founding teams. Here's a snapshot of the competition process. You can look at the dates for yourself, but basically we have a large funnel at the beginning. We engage about 250 community judges to help us with the vetting and scoring of that first round application period. And after that, we go into a due diligence and a semifinalist stage, ultimately arriving at our finalist pitch event in August of this year. The program start will be around October or November, depending on timing for specific companies that are moving to St. Louis and some other factors. But all these dates will be updated throughout the process, and you'll be receiving reminders along the way. So if you are funded by Arch Grants, if you're awarded by Arch Grants and become one of our portfolio companies, you'll get the $75,000 equity fee grant, or $100,000 if you're relocating to St. Louis, as I mentioned. Professional support services, specifically legal, accounting, and business support services. One-on-one mentorship opportunities with our entrepreneur in residence. A monthly founder series to participate in. Monthly socials and engaging with folks in the St. Louis community in a social, culturally significant way, partnering with a lot of the institutions that we have in St. Louis. If you're not familiar with the many cultural, artistic, or arts institutions in St. Louis, I encourage you to check them out. This city is like no other when it comes to world-class museums, institutes, botanical garden, etc. In addition to that, you'll have access to Arch Grants Network. What this means is when you find somebody in the St. Louis region, and even regionally and nationally that you want to connect with, there's a good chance that Arch Grants has a connection point within that corporation, investment firm, or individual. If not us directly, then one of our connections may be able to make that introduction. Lastly, there is a quarterly investor forum. So we have a network of over 100 investment firms nationally that we send information about our companies to, looking to generate conversations when appropriate and when solicited by our founders. And we hope to make that process as easy as possible. Although fundraising is never easy, as somebody who comes from a fundraising background, we try to tee you up for success in that area. I mentioned the Growth Grants program earlier. This is a little bit more detail on that. So through the Growth Grants program, we launched last year, we provide up to $100,000 in additional non-dilutive grants that are matched by either equity or convertible debt or grant funding as you seek to grow your company in St. Louis. This is only open to companies that have gone through the one-year program in Arch Grants and is really geared to cementing growth and providing more opportunities to scale in this region. So why St. Louis? Well, rather than have me go on rambling, I'd like to show you a brief video from one of our partners, Explore St. Louis, that I think encapsulates a lot of the great assets that St. Louis has to offer. Enjoy.
Thanks so much for that, Gabe. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
We do have a whole bunch of questions that came in while you all were chit-chatting, and I feel like we could probably go back and forth on who can answer what. So let's see. Okay. Oh, there's so many coming in. So one question here is the grant solely focused on businesses that will create jobs in St. Louis? You want to go ahead and take that one?
Sure, happy to. So I would say that the growth in jobs, or the job growth potential, is an important facet of the program. We are looking for companies that will scale here. There are companies that don't need large teams to grow. This program is very much focused on economic impact in St. Louis, and job creation is a big part of that. So even if it's not, I would encourage any company, even if you're not planning on hiring immediately at your stage of growth, if you are looking to grow your team, your staff in St. Louis, that is an advantage in the competition process.
All right. So I think I can take this next one. I like the way it's worded. How much traction is recommended to be competitive? Which I feel like kind of, if I'm understanding how you're using traction correctly, I think that kind of speaks to stage. and how we define what our stage brackets are. So, we are looking for early stage companies, as we've been discussing. Our definition of early stage is really anything from validated idea through pre-series A stage funding. And as far as, the earlier end of that validated idea, you don't need to be in business yet. You don't need to have revenue yet. You don't need to have capital raised yet. You really just need to have a good set of market research under your belt in some way, shape, or form. So whether that's customer discovery, or, if it's a product, having an MVP, some kind of market validation to really be able to show and demonstrate to the judges that your idea has been validated and is confirmed to be legitimate. So hopefully that's what you mean by traction. Hopefully I answered that correctly. Let's see, another one is the kind of, I feel like, it's commonly asked is, I know I saw people coming in and asking about what do we mean by terms like tech enabled, what do we mean by innovative, and also what do we mean by early stage, which hopefully I've just answered fairly well. How about you answer tech enabled and I'll talk about innovative, Gabe?
Sure.
How do we define tech enabled?
So tech enabled for us means that there is I think being tech enabled is an important part of any scale plan at this point in our development. So having an e-commerce solution could be a tech enabled component. We do fund a large number of companies in the direct tech space, enterprise SaaS, B2B solutions, platform app development, things like that. Because we are industry agnostic, there is a wide breadth of companies that we fund in pretty much every industry, every major industry. And we do fund CPG companies, consumer packaged goods companies, and look for that e-commerce component that's going to help them drive growth.
Cool. And then as far as innovative, I would say that really the best way to show you're innovative is to, again, have that market research, that, be really honest and, transparent when you're presenting and, explaining to judges how you are different, that that there are competitors out there and that you've looked carefully at them and you can demonstrably show and explain how you are different, what sets your idea apart. So that's how I would define innovative and suggest that you show that and, prove it to our judges. I know we're getting a lot of questions on the relocation part of it. Do you have to live in St. Louis? What exactly does that mean? What do you mean by headquarters? Are you allowed to, relocate if you're coming from outside of the country? Seeing a lot of questions to that front. So Gabe, why don't you take that one?
Sure. So because we are a nonprofit 501c3 focused on economic development, again, it is very important for our companies, the founding teams, to be located in St. Louis. So that does mean moving here. It does mean living here. It means basing a significant portion of your operations in St. Louis. That varies by company, company by company in terms of a manufacturing facility someplace else. We want to see at least 51% of the founding team in St. Louis, and or one founder, and over 51% of the rest of the team. So we want significant operations here. We are unlike many accelerator programs where you can bounce in, do a 3-month stint, and bounce out. We want our ultimate winners of this competition to be investing in St. Louis for the potential long term. It's not the right place for every business. We understand some businesses will move on and some businesses will fail. But we are focused on bringing top entrepreneurial talent and some of the most innovative companies in the world to St. Louis to explore the growth potential here.
And I know I'm also seeing a lot of questions just on, how many people tend to apply and how many people are you planning on, or how many companies are you planning on awarding this year? So, we do have hundreds of applications that come in every year. So it is a pretty competitive process. We'll plan to have 20 to 25 recipients this year, awardees this year. And that is what we have tended to do in the past. Last year, we had more, but we have also significantly increased the grant amount this year. So in turn, that's why we've gone back to our standard of around 20 to 25 companies that'll be awarded. And about half of them will be local and about half of them will be relocating, more or less. We can't totally predict that, of course. So that's like I said, a guess. But that's what to expect as far as how many applicants you might be up against and how many people will actually receive the grant. Okay, let's see. We've only got a couple minutes left and there's so many good questions coming in. Let me see if I can find one more really good one. Let's see.
See a quick one I can answer.
Go ahead.
Asking about the copy of the video, just mentioned at the outset, we will be posting this recording on YouTube, on our YouTube channel in pretty short order, so you should have access to it. But sorry, Jessica, so jumping in.
That's okay. Thank you for saying that one. Yeah, and if you're on the list, on my mailing list where you receive this invite in the newsletter form, I will send this out starting next week. I'll have a copy of the recording posted there as well, so you don't have to even remember to go find it. I did see this question pop up earlier, and I think that it was asked again. And I actually don't know the answer to this one myself, since I haven't been around enough times. How often, is it often the case, or is it very rare where a company will be awarded with only one founder?
It's not exceedingly rare. We typically will fund a company with one founder. I think it's especially important. We are typically not in the business of supporting solopreneur opportunities that don't have any growth outside of that single founder. There are many successful businesses that can do very well with one founder, but we're looking for scalability in terms of both the market and the team growth potential. So if you're developing a business by yourself, don't see that as a reason not to apply. But I think that the growth potential is particularly important to draw out in your application process as you go through it.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. And it's probably our last question. I hadn't had anybody ask this yet, so I feel like it's important to speak on real quick as far as who are these judges that we keep talking about. Which, it's a very extensive pool that we pull from. We do need literally hundreds of volunteer judges so that we are fairly, vetting each applicant, and that there are many sets of eyes from different perspectives who are evaluating our applicants. And as Gabe alluded to, we do have 2 phases. So we have a preliminary round of judges, and we will have a couple hundred of our volunteers who are mostly in St. Louis, not exclusively, and who have a wide variety of skill sets and expertise. A lot of them have investing background. Some of them are subject matter experts. A lot of them are, entrepreneurs themselves. So we will do our best to match the appropriate judges with the right expertise to your application. And then we have more volunteer judges that if you were to get to the finalist round, you would pitch to live and in person, a panel of our judges there as well. So hopefully that answers that question. And I know we had a whole bunch of questions come in. I'm sure we didn't address all of them. I'm sorry, we've already run out of time. I love that there's so many questions.
I want to answer one more question I saw in the chat real quick.
Yeah, please.
Noah Hart asking about if we're only looking for companies that have VC growth potential, so taking investment from venture capital firms, and the answer is no. We have some very successful companies in our portfolio that are bootstrapped, that have been around for years and doing exceedingly well. It really just depends on your business and how you see that growth happening. We tend to get a lot of applications and ultimate winners that are in the VC-backed space, but that is not a prerequisite to apply. So sorry, Jess, I wanted to get that one. I thought it was an important one.
Yeah, I'm glad you saw that. Thanks. So yeah, I like I said, I know there's a whole bunch of questions that we probably didn't quite get to. If your question wasn't answered and you don't see it on our FAQ page, which is pretty robust, but there's, I'm sure, lots of questions that aren't on there also, please do go ahead and email us. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the session, it's competition@archgrants.org, and we'll do our best to answer any and all questions that you think of or that we didn't address today. So yeah, any final thoughts or words, anything you'd like to end with, Gabe?
I just want to thank you all for being here. This is a very unique organization, and our work is based on supporting dynamic, innovative founders like many of you on the call today. So hope you apply. As just said, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. We do have the FAQ on our website. And there's a whole pool of entrepreneurs that have been through our program. Hundreds of entrepreneurs have been through our program and are still engaged with us. So you can find those on LinkedIn, on our website, and many of them would be happy to share their experiences, including Edwin and Suzanne, who I know we did put their email addresses in the chat. So thank you all, and hope to see your application soon.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Good luck.